Matt, thank you. Heavily debated and then quietly altered. CBS 6 News has learned that the casino bill that passed late last week was changed just before the vote. Initially, there was language in the bill that would have prevented those interested in building casinos from making political contributions here in New York. But at the very last minute, that provision was removed. Capitol correspondent Pat Bailey joins us live now with details from our Albany bureau. A mystery here, Pat.
Yeah, Liz, that's right. Trying to figure out who did it. Now, in his initial bill, Governor Cuomo had language in there, as you mentioned, prohibiting campaign contributions from casinos. But after a deal on a new bill that was struck last week on Wednesday, in fact, that provision was removed and the bill was then voted on Friday. But the thing here is one lawmaker today admitting that he and others did not know about the change until after they voted on it. This was Governor Andrew Cuomo back in May when he outlined his casino plan.
We do not want a politically determined outcome.
A month later, when the first bill was made public, an attached press release had a section called Preventing Corruption in it. Part of it read, applicants will be banned from making political contributions to statewide elected officials, the legislature, and local office holders in municipalities and counties where destination resorts are located. However, the newest casino bill, the one that was the end result of a leaders' meeting last week, and the one that was ultimately passed by lawmakers, had that provision removed from it. One Capital Region legislator said neither he nor his colleagues knew that when they voted.
You know, I guess shame on me, but in the last waning days of session, you get pummeled with a lot of memos and amendments and changes. This one did not seem to come to the forefront, and as I found out talking to some of my colleagues in the chamber on both sides of the aisle, neither do they know.
The governor's office says when deals are reached behind closed doors, all four leaders of state government agree to the terms. I called representatives for each of the leaders. I either had no return call or no one admitted to asking for the change. Citizens Action of New York had this to say about the change, quote, "This is one more example of why we can't trust government to make policy decisions because industry money will always play a role. We wouldn't need this provision if we had addressed campaign finance reform," end quote. Will you take contributions?
No, absolutely not. I've already instructed my treasurer to make sure that any interests that come, whether it's the actual entities themselves or those who present themselves as representing them, to just politely decline.
Now, a couple late minor developments in this. The governor was out in Rochester today. He was asked about this, and he said, quote, "It's not in the legislation. We couldn't work everything out. Some things we could not come to terms with." He went on to say that any contributions made by casinos will, of course, be made public, and people will be able to see who they go to. Now, the governor did go on to say, since day one, he said that he did not want this to be a political process, as you saw in the piece there, and he was talking about the siting of the casino, saying that he does not want the legislature to be involved in the siting process. And just before we went on air, actually, Liz, as Matt Markham was on the air, so just a few minutes ago, I got a call from Speaker Sheldon Silver's office, and they left me a voicemail saying that they were not opposed to that piece of provision being in the legislation, but did not say who asked for it to be removed.
Have we got any idea, Pat, just how much money these casinos donate? I mean, they're obviously in a position to make it a lot to lawmakers.
Well, coincidentally, just last week when the bill was being voted on, a study came out by Common Cause New York. They said about $20 million was spent in the last 2 years by casinos in New York State. How much went directly to the governor and other lawmakers? I have those numbers, but I'll tell you tonight at 6 o'clock.
We'll want to hear them, I'm sure. Thank you very much, Pat.